Seconds.
Now we should be okay.
If he waives his no trade clause, somebody is going to at least sniff around. I don't even know what it would take to give up, what you'd have to give up draft pick wise or capital wise. I guess there could be always a player trade. Player involved in the trade, an active player. It's hard to
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station.
The Wildcats Radio 1290 studios are brought to you by
Casino del Sol. Sol Sports. Bet easy. Win big. Bet local. Your home for Arizona football play-by-play is Wildcats Radio 1290. Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290.
We'll line it up. DJ Williams will be the running back. Fafita under center. Bunch set left. Single man right is Cowing. Fafita will pitch back. DJ Williams being chased. He's tackled. It's over. And USC has won this game in 3 overtimes.
And we're coming to you live from Sol Sports here at Casino del Sol. It is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. I am David Kelly, joined as always by the 2-letter winners, Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985, and the captain from 1998, Kelvin Efon. It is the Washington State Cougars and the Arizona Wildcats today up on the Palouse, the final trip to Martin Stadium, and the Wildcats looking to snap a 2-game losing streak. Both of those games, or both of those losses, coming at the hands of ranked teams, and they'll get another ranked opponent today, the 3rd in a row, as Washington State comes into this contest with a record of 4-1, 1-1 in the Pac-12. Arizona 3-3, 1-2 in conference play. Both of these teams coming off losses in Southern California last Saturday. The Cougars over in Pasadena to the UCLA Bruins, 25-17, and of course you just heard the Wildcats at the Coliseum near downtown Los Angeles, falling in triple overtime by a score of 43-41. 2 weeks ago, the Wildcats faced Michael Penix Jr. Last week, they faced the reigning Heisman Trophy winner in Caleb Williams. And today, they're both CWs. We get the second CW, Cam Ward, the outstanding quarterback for the Washington State Cougars, who enters this week 6th in the country in passing, 5th in the United States in total offense. Guys, never an easy place to go and play football, but the weather is favorable today, and that is one good thing to start with.
Absolutely. I played when it was like 30-something degrees up there, man, and I played on the concrete turf field they had. So, and I was a redshirt guy then. I was playing backup, so I didn't really get any time on that game. But warming up on that field, we played a really highly ranked Washington State the team there, and we came out of victory. We came out with a victory up there, and it's not a place that that it's a great place to play, because when you drive in there from Moscow, you know how it is, Kelvin.
Well, they actually drove in from Lewiston, I think, today because it's homecoming, and so they had to stay a little bit further away. I'm not sure exactly where Lewiston is in comparison to Moscow, but I don't think it's any closer.
Yeah, we flew into Moscow and then drove over to Pullman, and it was kind of a scary ride going there, because there was nothing out there. But you know what? I think we're primed to get a victory here because we've been getting better and better every game. We're losing. We lost the last 2 games, but we're playing against great opponents, and we're playing up to their caliber. And I think it's about the time we get that win.
Well, Washington State reminds me a lot of Arizona teams. They always kind of had the same type of guys that went to Washington State because they wanted to prove that they belonged in the Pac-12. A lot of LA guys. So you always, when we play Washington State, we always had great competition, fiery competitions. We played Ryan Leaf there. I think we had an overtime game there. But Cam Ward, man, I think, to me, he's like my favorite quarterback. Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams. Shadur does his thing, but I like Cam Ward. He went to Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word down in Texas, and he won a D2 national championship. The kid is just a winner, man, and I worry about them bouncing back in this game against us after they lost their first game.
All right, Arizona and Washington State. Again, we are at Soul Sports. Come on out. We'll be here till 2:30 today, getting you set for the Wildcats and the Cougars. Of course, as always, lots of college football on the TVs. We've got Florida State and Syracuse in front of us right now. Not a great start for Dino Babers and his kids up there today. We've got, Kent State. Kent State, my mother's alma mater, in Eastern Michigan out of the MAC. We always like to keep an eye on the MAC because they feed into the Arizona Bowl, so I wouldn't mind seeing Kent State out here at one, but they're 1-5, so it doesn't look like they're going to a bowl game. They're not going to a bowl game this year. Cincinnati and Iowa State, Big 12. They're going to be opponents coming up here in the future, and right now the Cyclones are leading that contest. It looks like we got Alabama and Arkansas. Debbie in Arkansas, one of our favorite listeners, is not real happy right now as the Crimson Tide are up 11 points on the Razorbacks. Let's take a first look at this ball game today in Pullman between the Wildcats and the Washington State Cougars.
It's time to take our first look at today's game.
Brought to you by the Window Depot. Lowest prices and biggest inventory.
Shop thewindow.depot.com.
Well, guys, it has been 2 weeks of tight ball games for the Arizona Wildcats. They have not been able to pull these games out this season, and at least the last 2 weeks, a 7-point loss to Washington at home back on September the 30th, and then a 2-point triple overtime loss last week in Los Angeles. Jed Fish talked this week about not being able to get through in these close games.
I don't know. I don't know what's not allowing us to. I mean, I would say if we hit on a 2-point play on the second time and they didn't hit theirs, then we would have won the game. We had Jacob Cowling open in the end zone, and we wound up number 7 made a great play, and or we would have won. If Caleb gets knocked out an inch earlier than he did, then they probably would. Then they didn't score on the third 2-point play. If T-Mac against Mississippi State doesn't go out of bounds by an inch, then we score a touchdown on that play and we win 28-24. There's just plays in these games. We have a double move with Jacob Cowling against Washington. We overthrow it. We get stopped, in a 3rd and 1 against Mississippi State. And that's just what the game is. But when I look at our team, I don't think there's any, reason per se that I could point to that says why we won or why we didn't win. We just have to make one more play than we made at the right time, and we could be sitting here having a much different conversation and probably being the story of college football.
Well, and the story would be, if you listen to Jed Fish, so close in these losses, all 3 of your losses, 2 of them have come in overtime, a touchdown loss at home. I mean, again, and I always tell people about, and I'll compare this to the National Football League. One of the things I always say about the NFL guys is that there's usually 3-4 really good teams. There's usually 3 or 4 really bad teams. And everybody else is 4 plays away from either being 6-10 or 10-6. And that's right now where this Wildcats team is. They could easily be 3 plays away from being 6-0, but they're not. They're 3-3.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of things and factors in there in those plays. There's a lot of factors. I'm going to tell you right now. But listen, we got to break through that. Every program goes through that to become a winning program, to start your next era, okay? They have to be able to learn how to get through those, and these guys will do it. if they all stick together, we come together, we all stick together for the next couple of years, I think they're going to come out. They're going to be a very successful program. But you have to learn how to win. It's not easy. It's not easy. I was on a team that we never beat Oregon, and then we beat Oregon, and then we moved forward. I mean, it's like things that you couldn't beat Oregon, and we couldn't beat a team, and these guys are going to go through that now, and they will get through it, and they just got to believe in themselves.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like you said, you have to learn how to win. You're talking about a team a couple of years ago hadn't won a game. What was it, 1-11 or 0-21?
Yeah.
0-20. We trying to make sure
21 straight losses.
It did get grown.
Yeah.
It did turn 21 on us. So you're still trying to figure out how to win. And people forget this is a young team still. Young in that these guys are just coming together from the transfer portal. Freshmen on the field, redshirt freshman at quarterback, sophomore at receiver. You do have Cowan, but Cowan is a transfer, so he's still. I think he's all the way Arizona now. But a lot of times you get a lot of these transfers, they're about themselves first, right?
Yes.
Right? They came here for some selfish reasons, and now they are part of the program as they begin to get that camaraderie with the rest of the players. So I just think it's a thing of where you have to learn how to win. You have to really have each other's back. You have to really pay attention to stepping out of bounds. All those little bitty mistakes you don't make when you're a championship or a winning team.
And NIL changes everything.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Because you're going to get new kids all the time, and a lot of times
And
the
lose
kids. Yeah, and lose kids.
Lose some kids.
You're gonna
And lose kids before they even get here.
And you're gonna. It's just gonna just be tough to get that camaraderie of the whole team of saying, listen, man, we remember we were in this in 2022, and then now it's 25, and we're ready to go now. Okay, so it's sometimes none of those guys are even there. They're all gone.
I'll say this. I'll say this right here. Dorian Singer. If we have him on this team,
oh my gosh,
we're 6-0 right now.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. We haven't got our third receiver together yet.
Yeah.
Have we got our third receiver?
No.
It's either going to be Cowan or T-Mac.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, sometimes tight end here and there, not enough to kill
Dorian
you, right?
Singer has 10 catches right now.
Yeah.
At USC, that's it.
Well, since you guys brought up the third receiver, let's J-Dub, we're going to do a little bit of a cross here. Let's go down to 8.1 because Jed Fish talked about that this week, why we have not seen the development of a third wide receiving pass catcher so far this season.
I would say right now it's kind of been a weird season in that regard, because if you look at Montana, Tanner, and Mike Wiley, I kind of think that they're all like the third receiver in terms of production. I don't know if there's been much production difference between those three guys. Total number of catches, total number of yards, touchdowns. So Montana's done a really nice job of playing the role that we've asked him to play. I think that he would love to produce more. We'd like to get him the ball a little bit more. We'd like to make a few more plays down the field with him. Where he really shines is down the field with the vertical deep ball, as well as run after catch, hitches, quick screens. But I think we need to hit him on a few posts and goes and get him going a little bit there. But Tanner and Mike Wiley also have done a great job of being compliments to Jacob and T. And but for this offense to be what I really want it to be, you got to be able to produce at all three receiver spots at a high number. And you've got to, I think right now, Jacob's probably second in the conference, I think, in catches. T-Max, in fifth or sixth in yards. But we got to get that next guy up there as well in order for us to be the type of offense that I think we can turn into.
Well, and guys, that was my number one thing offensively coming into this season was, were we going to, see more than just three receivers? We've only seen two.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue with why this offense is not scoring at the rate that we thought it would.
Absolutely. I think getting the tight end going, and everybody says, oh, you always talk about the tight end. Yeah, I am talking about the tight end. Look at all those we're supposed to be a pro offense, right? Is that what we're supposed to be? That's what we are, NFL offense?
Yeah.
Every NFL team that is excelling on offense has got a great tight end. It's got they're where are they? How many games do they have in the NFL right now? 7?
7 games.
7 games. I bet you all those top offensive teams, their tight ends have got at least 20 balls, 20-something balls. You know, they're getting.
Well, Tanner's got 19 through 6.
But they got to get them more. They have to get them more. At least that's a minimum. Okay, I think we need to get that open with the tight end. Create some more patterns for him too. That's what I think that they should do. There's a lot of things. You know, we want to do the boot. We want to do the play action. You know, let's get that more involved with the tight end. I think the tight end is real important for us, and then out of the backfield, we haven't seen that many throws for the running backs, Kelvin, coming out of the backfield.
I like the throws to the running back come out the backfield. We use them a little bit, not a lot. More Micah Wiley.
Well, I mean, 30, you got 34 catches between Jonah Coleman and 31 catches between Jonah Coleman and Michael Wiley.
Right, and that's 5 games, so that's like 5 a game.
5 a game.
And I just feel like, though, in this offense, in the NFL offense, you always know about the slot receiver. And I just feel like we're not getting that work, that what we need out of that third guy. I mean, he transferred here from Colorado because he thought he was going to get more shine and more playing time, and that hasn't happened. And, you know, I hear Coach Fish saying, but the coach has to call the plays that target that guy.
Yeah.
And if that isn't there, then you go to the next guy. Yeah. What I think is tough for coaches is that getting T-Mac and Cowing the ball are the number one priorities of this team. And I think Singer saw the writing on the wall. That's the reason why he left, right? and you know, I think he saw the writing on the wall. That's the reason why he left. And I just think that you're going to have to find a way to get that other guy involved, or as we get along in this season, it's going to be tough on Cowing and T-Mac.
All right, that is our first look at today's game between Arizona and Washington State.
That's our first look at the game. Brought to you by the Window Depot. Lowest prices and biggest inventory. Shop thewindownedepot.com. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Let's take a look at the Right Way Rundown and see what's coming up on our pregame show. Brought to you by Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Doing things the right way.
All right, coming up on our Right Way Rundown, our Meridian Wealth Management pregame show today, we're going to hear from Washington State linebacker Ron Stone, as well as we'll chat with their fabulous quarterback, Cam Ward. You'll hear from them. Who we got in the huddle today, Glenn Howell?
We got Al Bubba Gross. He's part of the Dog Pound out of Cleveland. His group started I think really the tradition of the DBs at University of Arizona, because he had in that backfield Tony Neely, himself, Al Gross, Randy Robbins. You know, Liggins was in there when he played with him. I mean, there are some great DBs, and from that moving forward for the next 10 years, we had some great DBs at the University of Arizona.
All right, and we're going to do a little bit of a different move today. We're going to hear from one of the current Wildcat captains this year in the Captain's Corner, Jonah Savianai. We had a chance to speak with him earlier this week, so we will hear from him coming up in the Captain's Corner. We'll give you our pest to the game a little bit later, our keys as well as to victory for the Arizona Wildcats, and at the end of the program, we will see none of us won the Powerball, so we'll see if we can get some money out of here today with our best bets. All right, that is your Right Way Rundown. When we come back, we'll get into our scouting report for the Wildcat offense. We'll talk a little bit about Jaden Delore and Noah Fafita, who will start at quarterback, and you will also hear again from Washington State linebacker Ron Stone, another NFL son who is tooling around the National Football League. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show with Kelvin Efon and Glenn Howell. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by
Advanced Auto Care, Crest Insurance Group, Desert Diamond Casinos, First Chiropractic, Frog and Firkin, Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing,
the Pulse and Results team with Keller Williams, Southern Arizona,
Royal GMC Buick and Cadillac, Royal Kia, Royal Jaguar Land Rover, and the Window Depot.
and get a lot of work, moving around pretty good. So be a game time decision as it's been, but certainly closer than he's ever been. Certainly been practicing in full pads the last 2 days.
All right, that is the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats, Jedd Fisch, who will start at quarterback. Has been the debate of the week for this fan base, the media here locally, around the country. In fact, let's hear from the head coach of the Washington State Cougars first. We'll do that first here. The Washington State Cougars head coach, Jake Dickert, was asked this week who he thought should start at quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats, Noah Fifita or Jayden de Laura.
So you're very familiar with Jayden, or it might be their young guy. How difficult is it when you don't really know who their QB is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't play the young guy. I mean, this guy has been as efficient and effective as anybody in the country the last 2 weeks. I mean, he is operating the offense at a really, really high level. They're similar yet different. Both can really throw the ball. Seven's going to have more off-script plays and do a little bit different things like Cam does, where 11 really operates in the framework of the offense and can really run, but takes off in normal escape patterns, not like what you see Cam do and running around different things. So I think they're both very talented. They both can really throw the ball, and they're both operating, at high levels. So prepare for both of them, but you don't see a drop-off at all with the young kid in there.
Ooh, Jake Dickert. How do you not start the young guy?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there's any bad blood there still
Sounds
between
like
him and Jayden de Laura, but interesting comments by the opposing head coach there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm all right with Noah starting, okay? I'm all right with that. And you know what? We got a bye week coming up, okay? And if Jayden's not 100%, give him another week. He'll have 2 weeks to get better.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
There's truth there.
But who is 100%? Who is 100% right now?
I'd use that one as an excuse.
Noah's a little guy, at any point, you know how that could go.
And then Jayden's in the bullpen.
And I'll just say this. I disagree with that because I feel like Jayden de Laura helped him turn around his program. Mm-hmm. To this point, he helped him turn around his program. You have to give him a shot for the leadership of that team because the other players are watching. Imagine I'm one of the other guys and I'm watching, and I know Jayden has made all these plays for us, right, and helped put us in a position to win a lot of these games. Some games he threw some interceptions for sure, but the other games it was because of him that we won them. So if I'm the other guys, I'm looking. I'm the running back. I'm over there looking when OJ and Keith. How y'all gonna deal with that? How y'all going to deal with that? Y'all going to play both of them? Who y'all going to start this week?
Yeah.
And if you do the wrong guy the wrong way, you're going to lose half the guys. You're going to lose half the guys. Whereas if you go back with the starter, the guy who had been your starter, who earned the starting position in spring ball, who earned the starting position in the summer, you can't tell me after the spring and summer just because a guy got hurt and a guy played well in a couple games that he lost, that I'm going to make a change. Now, if you win that USC game, I might look at that different,
right,
but you didn't win.
And that's what I've said all week.
Yeah.
I mean, as well as Noah has played,
his time
still 0-2.
And his time is coming.
Yeah.
His time is coming, right? You could throw him out there too fast, and things could go wrong, but he's played well. But I just think as far as a leader, a captain of the team, I would go and talk to Coach Tomey myself and say, Coach, hey, we got to watch how we do this.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain – you know this, Glenn.
Yeah.
And you know this too. The coaches are the coaches and the players are the team. Right? And one or two wrong guys taking that the wrong way could implode the team. I really believe that. I think you have to give – now, watch what I'm finna say.
Okay.
He played that Washington State game, and he don't play well. You start Noah. You give him that bye week to get him ready to have a fair chance at taking over this job, and you give him that job until de Laura or he loses it or de Laura takes it back. But I think you have to give de Laura. Washington State, you bench him for this game? You bench me for this game, some of the people might not like what I'm finna say. But I'm thinking I'm going on the portal.
Yeah.
And I don't care how you feel about it, people. I got 4 years to play. And hey, I love the coach. I was on the basketball team. I left a national championship basketball team to go to a football team that wasn't good. When I went to the football team, they were not good.
Right.
But I wanted to play. I didn't care about the all that other stuff. I want to do my thing. Okay, so we have to remember that when we're talking about sports. Jaden helped us get to this point. He helped the team. He helped recruiting. I guarantee you, a lot of these Oregon guys and some of these other guys came, the Polynesian guys. Noah has an effect with some of the younger guys, but they wanted to play with Delora. I didn't know nothing about Noah. He hasn't played yet. I don't know. So, I mean, to give him that, I'm talking about the guys that came, transfer portal and some of the recruits and whatnot. So you have to think about that. And Fish is thinking about that because quarterback and coach are tied to the hip. I believe a lot of Delores' mistakes are his mistakes as the offensive coordinator, head coach, but the offensive coordinator. And I agree with that. And I think he's cool with it. I think he's cool with it. He's like, man, we shouldn't have did that, but I understand why you're doing it. Because Delores is trying to make plays. He's trying to make us a better team than what we actually were. I hate the interceptions more than anybody. But our defense wasn't good enough when he was throwing some of those interceptions. He was trying to do too much, right? Trying to help the team get in a position to win. Some of those interceptions, again, pretty tough. But at the same time, was the kid not trying to win?
Yeah.
Was he not trying to win? It's all great when it works, right? Everybody's happy when it works.
As he started, when he started this whole thing that you've been talking about, you said, I disagree. I disagree. I disagree.
I'm just going to get out of the way and let these two guys tell them what it should be.
I'm like thinking
I might even move off camera if you're watching on the screen. I'm just going to slide off camera here.
I think Noah, even though he did lose those games, the demeanor of that team was so – I mean, they knew the confidence of that team when they were playing, I thought was really, really good when Noah was out there. And how they were playing, they were fighting, they were in those games, and they play. And they did that with Jaden too.
Yes, thank you.
But I think Noah gives us a better chance because he takes care of the ball better.
I respect that. I'll say this. Is this that thing where the backup quarterback is always the most loved guy?
Right. Yeah. I think this case it is.
Is this what's happening right now?
And look, we can go back 60 years, and that has never been good for any place where that has happened.
Yeah.
So
never.
So I'm just, I don't know, man. With his pedigree coming from Washington State, I know some of the mistakes and everything he's made. They were fine with that. Right? They were fine with that. You let him come to the school. He's played for us now for 2 years now, so you were fine with that. So now he's yours.
Yeah.
He's yours. He's your kid now. And I respect Fish. It'll make me, if I have a son coming up and maybe one day he will be a football player, maybe he may have a chance to go to U of A. Fish giving Delore, not giving his position back, but not letting him lose his position to an injury, I would say, you know what, I'll think about U of A.
Yeah.
But if I see him go to Noah right now because of the pressure of outsiders that aren't at practice every day, right?
Yeah.
Right? Then ain't no way I would let my kid go play for him.
Yeah. Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. I'm all right with both of them.
Okay.
All right. Whoever starts, I'm all right with both of them.
Me too.
If Jaden starts, I'm good. If Noah starts, I'm good. Okay. I think that right now, if we're going head to head, I'm gonna go with Noah.
All right, let's real quick. Let's pause here for station identification. We'll get more into the offense. You're listening to the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station.
This season, Jed Fish will lead the Wildcats into battle,
And the only place to hear the game,
Wildcats Radio 1290. Here is the Wildcats offensive scouting report for today's game.
He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona.
The offensive scouting report is brought to you by O'Reilly Chevrolet.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Get more with O'Reilly Chevrolet.
All right, Glenn, pick back up now with your thought on what you were saying.
What I was saying is that I'm okay with both whoever's going to start, okay? And I think that Noah, I think we got to like push that momentum that he's doing. I know he lost those games, but he's playing with so much confidence right now that I think that he can take us into this game and we can get a victory with either one. but I think Noah, I think we need to give him a shot.
No, I think I would agree with Kelvin in saying if Jaden can go, I think he has to go. I think if he's healthy enough to play, like Jed said, that you allow him this opportunity, because I believe that this is still his team, and I know the fan base absolutely, the majority of the fan base disagrees with that.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing here. The last thing you need is this mess.
Right. Oh yeah.
See, like if you're a real Wildcat fan, the last thing you need is to be starting this type of stuff in the team, because now this is getting in all the guys' ears. Mm-hmm. It's getting in Noah's ears. It's getting in the offensive lineman, the defensive lineman, and that cannot be a good thing. That cannot be a good thing. I would not want my team worrying about that. I want to worry about the opponent. I want my fans talking about. I want my fans talking about.
It puts pressure, extra pressure on both of those kids.
And the coach.
And the coach.
Like,
but I think on both of those kids to produce and do extra, because they're going to think that they need to do extra to maintain that position, which they all have to do is just do the regular.
It is my last thing.
Just enough.
It is my last thing, and I'm off
to win.
This is my last thing, and I'm off this. I will forever laugh at the people that say the insiders. Tell me who.
Yeah.
That's telling you this about Jaden DeLora not being the leader, because, man, that's rough for me when I'm watching the game and the guys are loving him. The guys are showing him. I mean, what do you know that I don't know and that I don't see, right? Yes, people are going to be disappointed when you throw interception, but all this, the guys don't like the players, is weird to me. I mean, don't like Jaden DeLora. How? I don't see how that could be. I don't see. We like Keith Smith and OJ. You don't have to pick one. They're all our brothers. They're all our teammates. So I would really love to know how, and we will never know, because no player is going to come out and going to say, hey, this is how we feel, right? But I just would love to know how so many outside of the program people, fans, know how the guys feel about DeLora.
Well, Jaden obviously last year played in the game against Washington State, struggled throwing a number of interceptions that day in a 31-20 home loss. And this week that Jed Fish talked about, if Jaden DeLora is indeed the starter, what his message is to about trying to keep an even keel going into a game against a team he used to play for.
Yeah, I mean, my message to Jaden is always the same, that when you play with poise and when you play with confidence, you're one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and you've proven that. I think he's third or fourth in the country in passing yards over his career. Started 32 games. He's come here, has won, 8 games, 8-8 as a starter here. And when he plays like he does in the 8 that he started and we won, he was very poised, and he didn't let the emotions get in the way of the game. When he played against Washington, when he played against USC, never let the emotions get in the way of the game, and played great football. We didn't come out on top, but both games were fantastic games for him. If he plays like that, I have no doubt that we can compete with anybody in the country. If the emotions get the best of them, or of any player, they're never going to be at their best. So we have to ignore the noise. We have to be able to play smart, good football, not turn the ball over, protect the team, and make great decisions. And that's the message that I will give him. And the fact that he's going back to Pullman, I guess is a big deal. I don't think it's a really big deal, though. I mean, we played him already. We didn't play very well. We lost 31-20. And our job is to play better than that with a much better team than we had a year ago.
Well, and I will say this, and I've said this all week, Jaden DeLora has not thrown an interception in 10 straight quarters since his demise at Mississippi State, when he threw 3. So he does have that going for him heading into this ball game.
And I was going to say, do people realize that he threw the ball 46 times?
In that game last year, yeah.
So the play calling, I love Coach, but if I see guys struggling, I'm going to change my play.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to start running the ball. Some of those interceptions,
I
mean, 46 passes, 28 of 46, okay, and only 22 rushes. Now, to the flip side, you would think Washington State would be 60 passes, 20 runs. No, they had 37 runs last year and 36 passes.
Yeah.
So you don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
You don't know what
we
they're
were
doing.
thinking that they were going to pass the heck out of the ball.
Yeah.
And what they did is they ran it down our throats.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So coach could help with that a little bit, man. That's all. He can help with that.
Absolutely. We've been talking about that all year. So it's something that has to be internally taken.
There's no way he should have threw 46 passes.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't care what happened. There's no way he should have threw 46 passes.
All right, that's going to wrap up a very spirited offensive scouting report for today.
This boy came off the IR and just came.
I've been hearing all this.
By O'Reilly Chevrolet. O'Reilly Chevrolet. Get more with O'Reilly Chevrolet.
All right, we are going to go in the huddle when we come back. It's the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We're live at Soul Sports. Come on down to Soul Sports. Their beer of the month is Coors Original Draft, Coors Light and Miller Lite bottles, $3.75. Their wine of the month, Long Meadow Ranch Farmstead Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet Sauvignon, straight from Napa Valley. You can get a glass of that for just $9. With Kelvin Efon and Glenn Hom, David Kelly, you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290.
Do you have the
Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290. Let's go in the huddle with Arizona letterman Glenn Howell.
In the Huddle with Howell is brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser celebrating 25 years serving Arizona.
Welcome into this week's edition of In the Huddle with Howell, brought to you by Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates. I'm Glenn Howell, class of 1985, and I'd like to welcome our guest today, 9th round pick of the Dallas Cowboys and original member of the Dog Pound, the Cleveland Browns, all Pac-10 safety, he's probably started the tradition of all the great DBs at University of Arizona, Al Bubba Gross. Al, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Glad to be back in the huddle with Glenn Howell.
Right on, man. How's it going, man? How you been?
Oh, I've been good, man. It's just here enjoying retirement in Phoenix, and loving what I'm seeing from the Wildcats here recently.
Yeah, so I see. What are you doing now? You're in retirement now. I see you've been doing a little traveling and stuff, and you enjoying your life and enjoying that retirement, huh?
Yeah, I invest in real estate a little bit here. Last couple of years, I'm trying to decide if I want to get back into coaching, but for right now, I'm just going to travel and enjoy my wife and just see the world for myself.
Yeah, that's awesome, Al. That's great. Al, and in the huddle, what we usually do is we check up on old Wildcats and talk to them and see what they're doing and talk about their experience coming to the University of Arizona. Tell us a little bit about how you were recruited to the University of Arizona.
Okay, I was originally living in Northern California. Stockton was going to go to Cal Berkeley, but the wheels fell off of that deal. I was set up to play basketball, and then Coach Valicini came from the University of Arizona a month before training camp, sat in my living room and said, "You can take a recruiting trip, or we can give you this $1,800, and you can just come to campus sight unseen and play for us."
Really?
He left. My mom goes,
"Wow,
get your stuff together, because you're not taking a trip. You're going, and we're gonna take this $1,800."
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's get out and go. That's great. That's awesome. So when you got here, was it everything you expected?
Man, and when I got to the campus, those red brick buildings kind of blew me away, and the nice facilities. At that time, we had McHale Center. We all worked out of there. And, I never seen such good green grass on the practice field. So, I was loving it when I first got here, and, made some lifelong friends to go along with coming to U of A.
Yeah, I can remember when I came here and I saw the mall, that mall with all that grass in the middle of all those buildings. I was like, wow. This is really beautiful. You see that, and then you went to the practice field, and you seen how great the grass was they were playing. It was like playing on almost like a fake AstroTurf. It was so nice at the U of A.
Yeah,
they took really good care of that. And Al, so when you got here, okay, you're coming from Stockton, you're coming in here, and you're playing at the University of Arizona. What year was it when you said to yourself, "You know what? I can play at the Pac-10 level"?
It was in my sophomore year is when I started really getting real comfortable with the environment on campus, and then really having a year to just travel with the team and see all the teams coming through. It let me know what I needed to do to improve and get my body together and get stronger, because I'm basically was a basketball player playing football. So I had to put on some weight and some muscle. And between the middle of my sophomore year, I was splitting time with another Wildcat, Reggie Ware, who was a senior. So at that time, they showed enough trust in me to put me out on the field.
So did you have any mentors that you were seeing, the guys that are older guys that were there that were DBs, and you said, man, you know what, I want to get some help, and they gave you some help and helped you along the way? Was there any of those guys? Who are those guys that were on that team?
Yeah, Dave Liggins. Dave Liggins was one of the guys who was all Pac-10 when I got here, and he was a big influence on me. Also, Tony Neely was a year ahead of me. And when I first got here, he had redshirted, and he and Van Brandon, they were kind of the guys that I kind of, hung around and, just watched what they were doing, how they handled themselves. And I think that was made a big difference in my off-the-field stuff and getting yourself together.
Yeah, and Wildcat fans, you got to understand that all these guys that he's talking about, except for VB. VB's about 6'1", maybe. I give him 6 foot. That's my boy, man. He was in my wedding. Van Brandon. All these guys are like 6'3", 6'2", 6'4", and that was our defensive backfield back then. Al, tell us a little bit about how big we were, in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, at that time, it was mainly a running conference, which you had the SC tailbacks, you had the big players at that time at running back, and then you had the longer receivers. So the recruiting went along with that. I like to call it the next level recruit when you go out and look for guys who have size and stuff. So I really didn't know we saw Ronnie Lott, Kenny Easley, Dennis Smith, who are all in the Hall of Fame. Those are the guys that I kind of modeled my play after, because they would hit you, and they were also ball hawks.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your greatest moments at University of Arizona for you as a team, as a team, and then also for you as a individual, and what are your greatest moments as a player at University of Arizona?
Okay, you stirred up some old memories. The game we went down in let's see, what year was that? 81. We went to South Bend and beat Notre Dame in Notre Dame. Was a big one. 82, we beat USC at Wildcat Field right there in the stadium, and seeing the fans come out of the stands after the game, that was big. And the most important was when we came down here, played ASU, and they needed to get through us to go to the Rose Bowl, and they never made it.
Yeah, that's always good when you beat the scummies up north, man. We always want to take care of them. For me personally, I was 3-0 against them, so I never lost to them. So it was always good for them to beat the Arizona State Sun Devils. And Al, I know after you went from your career at University of Arizona, you get drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. You get released from the Dallas Cowboys, and then you go to the Cleveland Browns. How was that transition, going from getting released and then all of a sudden you're picked up and you're over at the Cleveland Browns? What was that transition like for you?
Well, it hurt to be cut, and I kind of half walked out of camp. Was going to go play for the Arizona Wranglers in the USFL. And to get there. And then when I got to Cleveland 3 days later, I just made up my mind. There's 60 guys here. There's like 95 guys. We got to keep 60. I'm making sure I'm not going home. So I just did everything I could, special teams, whatever I could. I was hitting anything moving and playing with a lot of passion and aggressiveness, and they just picked up on it, and they said, well, we're not letting this guy go.
Hey, and Al, you were not only hitting people, you were catching balls out there, too. You were the ball hawk, too. You had a lot of interceptions, too.
Yeah, in my short career, 11 picks, about 5 or 6 recovered fumbles, and a couple of touchdowns. And making plays is the name of the game. If you're going to be a good defense, you got to take the ball away. And, I just flew through the ball. I see guys now when I look at guys, if the ball's not on your side, not in front of you, I want to see who's running to the football at all times, because that's when you pick up a lot of turnovers.
We're talking to University of Arizona safety Al Bubba Gross, class of 1982, our guest in the Huddle with Hal, brought to you by Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates. Kaiser, celebrating 25 years of serving Arizona. So, and Al, you were one of the original guys on the Dog Pound. How did all that stuff? And you got a Cleveland Brown here, Mr. Kelly. His daddy's Leroy Kelly, so he's got an NFL Hall of Famer. So David.
Al, I was a teen. I was a teen in the '80s, and you guys were the heroes of my teenage years, man. You and Hanford and Minnie and Turner, obviously before he passed away. But how did that all come together?
Well, the cheap seats over at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, where the bleachers were, and we shared field with the Indians, and it was dirt, and then they put sod in. That was a cheap seat. But we built a bond with those guys in the defensive backfield. We'd always go right up to the rail. It was waist high at the Dog Pound end, and we just developed a reputation of enjoying those fans. And Hanford Dixon came up with the idea of us going down and taking pictures in front of City Hall with tuxedos on. All of us had a dog. We took that picture, and it just took off from there, and the Dog Pound was born. It's still alive today. I wish I could get a couple royalty checks from all the Dog Pound stuff. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But that was one fun time, and to be in Cleveland, Ohio, man, and we really got after it, because with those fans behind you, how could you not?
I had that picture on my wall.
Yeah. We're talking to U of A safety Al Bubba Gross, first team All Pac-10, class of 1982, is our guest in the Huddle with Hal, brought to you by Kaiser Doors, Garage Doors and Gates. Kaiser, celebrating 25 years of serving Arizona. Al, you're watching our guys today, the Wildcats, our young Wildcats today. You're watching these guys in the defensive backfield. What are you seeing? What do you like about these guys?
I like first of all, they've done a nice job in recruiting next level talent. And what I mean by next level talent, these guys, after playing 3 or 4 years, they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to go to the next level and compete. We got the size of the DBs, and the coaching has ratcheted up a notch since the new coach has come in. And I'm liking what I'm seeing with the size of the corners, especially.
Yeah.
We got
6'4".
6'4", 6'3", 6'2". Prysock, I like him. Maldonado, I like him. Stoops, I like him. These guys have an opportunity to go high in the draft and do some things after they leave.
Yeah, I really believe that these guys are carrying on the tradition of the toughness of the DBs, which you started, and you guys started before with Liggins and all those other guys that were there before, Tony Neely and Van Brandon, and those guys just showing. We used to be DBU, man. You got Chris McAllister, you have Darrell Lewis, you have all these different guys that are just coming, and I think we're getting back to that. And you look at the last game, Al. What did you think of our guys? We're playing SC, and we were in probably 80% of the time in man-to-man.
Yeah, we don't get those penalties. We win that game. And what I'm seeing is the defensive coordinator had an excellent game plan. He put 7 DBs out there at certain points because he knew what they were going to do, as far as their tendencies to throw the ball. I got to take my hat off to that coordinator and the defensive back coach, because they brought heat from a lot of different angles, and they covered and did a great job, in my opinion.
Al, what would you like to see more from our Wildcats this year? After you've seen a couple of games, what would you like to see them do a little bit better?
Clean up the penalties and, keep doing what you're doing. It's a process. We're not going to jump up and be number one all at one time, but I think Jed Fish is doing a good job moving this team in the right direction. We got this game. We should have won it last week, but, I like the growth, and I like the they're going to learn from some of these things, because they got a younger team, and we're doing this stuff with a backup quarterback. That's another thing.
Al, how can they, you mentioned, obviously, we talked about your interception ability at both levels, and especially when you got to the league, but how can some of these young kids kind of develop that ball hawk mentality? I mean, I pointed out a play in the Washington game a few weeks ago where our young cornerback, Tacario Davis, I felt like there was a ball that he had a chance to intercept it versus intercepting it. He just knocked it away. And to have that mentality that if the ball goes up in the air, it's as much mine as it is that receiver's.
Well, I had my dad used to always say, get your name in the newspaper.
Yeah. right? Knocking the ball away might not do that, but if you pick it off.
Yeah, you got to want the light to shine on you.
Yes.
You got to, and it's got to be talked about in the meeting rooms before, during, after game when somebody drops something. You got to come up with different things. Like you're gonna run there, you're gonna owe me a 50 push-ups, or you're gonna owe the whole. What I did in coaching, when one guy dropped the interception, I make everybody do 15 push-ups. And it's like the other guys will put pressure on the guy who dropped the ball, and just run extra ball drills to put it in your mind that we got to make these plays, because this is what's going to change the game and allow us to win these close ones.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I always tell my athletes, you got to dream, believe, and focus, achieve. You got to dream it. You got to dream it. You got to go to bed and dream about making those plays. And then you got to believe in that dream. And then you focus on it when you're in practice and you're working on your technique, and then you achieve it. That's what happens, that you have to believe in that dream of what's happening in your mind and thinking about it. So I totally agree with you, Al. You really have to be mentally thinking about it all the time.
You do. You just have to, just understand it. It's like you said, it's our ball as much as theirs. And with these big corners, those fades that they're throwing all the time and the little quick passes, you got big guys, taller, bigger guys. They're going to be laying the wood to them, and then you're also going to be knocking down and intercepting a lot of that stuff that they're getting away with. They've been getting away with for years from our secondary.
All right, Al, our thanks to Wildcat football alumnus Al Bubba Gross, class of 1982. We really appreciate you coming on, Al.
Thanks for having me, Glenn. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Right on, my brother. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week on In the Huddle. And we really want to thank Al Bubba Gross for coming in the huddle. And we got really knee deep on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got knee deep. All right.
Like the song says.
Thanks, Al. We appreciate you, brother.
That's In the Huddle with Howell. Brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser celebrating 25 years serving Arizona.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management Pregame Show is brought to you in part by
Advanced Auto Care, Crest Insurance Group, Desert Diamond Casinos, First Chiropractic, Frog and Firkin, Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing,
the Pulse the Results team with Keller Williams, Southern Arizona,
Royal GMC Buick and Cadillac, Royal Kia, Royal Jaguar Land Rover, and the Window Depot.
When it comes to healthcare, imaging makes all the difference. Don't stand in line or wait for weeks to get that much.
And we're back out here at Soul Sports, Casino del Sol. It is the Arizona Wildcats and the Washington State Cougars tonight up on the Palouse. One of two big college football games in the state. On the other side, the Western Coast side in Seattle, you've got a huge matchup today between top 10 teams as the Huskies will welcome in the Oregon Ducks. We'll get to all of that a little bit later on our scoreboard update coming up after the top of the hour. But right now, let's talk a little bit about the Arizona Wildcats defense.
Let's look at the Wildcats defensive scouting report for today's game.
Back to throw. He gets hit. He fumbles the ball. The Cats with the ball. They pick it up. They'll take over at midfield.
This is Arizona football on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Williams out of the shotgun. He will take the snap. Little high, pulls it down. Back to throw. Plenty of time waiting. Now the Cats have got him. And they sack him inside the 15-yard line. Nobody open downfield. Caleb Williams had to eat it. And Arizona all over him. Jacob Manu with his 4th sack of the year.
Jacob Manu continuing to develop into one heck of a football player for this Arizona Wildcats defense. We'll hear from the head coach a little bit later on because we are at the halfway point of the season. 12 games in, we will hear from the head coach a little bit later on who he feels like the most impactful players are so far this season on both sides of the ball. But, guys, one of the things that this defense has got to figure out is the unnecessary penalties that are taking place and putting you in bad situations. I mean, this defense has played so well this season and gotten so much better that the last thing you want to do is create a 15-yard penalty that's going to keep offenses on the field when you have a chance to get them off the field. And Johnny Nansen talked a little bit about trying to curb those unnecessary penalties on defense.
We got to be disciplined in that. We got to do a better job coaching them. Just pull up. The kids were throwing, he was throwing the ball away and we're off the field. We can't make those mistakes. The whole game plan was trying to get them off the spot, and that's what we did. And then just, be smart. We did all week of when he scrambled, start matching up receivers and things like that. And I thought our secondary did a great job in matching up receivers. But, the discipline factor has to be coached, and we got to do a better job doing it.
Now, you guys are offensive players, so I don't know but I'm sure you could speak to how this particular issue can get solved, because it has to get solved.
Yeah, absolutely, it has to. And you know what? As I know, it's the excitement sometimes when you get those fouls, those extra, because you want to, you're that close, and then you got to let up. And I feel sorry for the players now, because there's so many things you have to think about before you knock the heck out of somebody, Because before it used to be just 100 miles. Coach used to say you hit them through the back of their jersey. That's what you go through. That's what you look through. You try to hit them through the back of their jersey. Now you got to be real careful. You can't get up above the head, the shoulder pads. You can't do that. Those things. As kids got a lot of things they got to think about it. But that's the game it is now. That's what you have to adjust, and you can't make those mistakes.
Yeah, defense, when you think about it, DB is a tougher position on the field. You have to run backwards to stay with a lot of receivers. I just believe that when you have to stay away from those penalties at the end of the day, because those are the penalties that keep drives going, that gives extra plays for these quarterbacks in the Pac-12. That's murder. Those guys get extra opportunities, they score a touchdown. So you have to be smart about that when you're a defensive back, and making sure you don't get any of those dumb penalties, because at the end of the day, they come back to affect the end of the game.
Yeah, the other thing defensively, and we talked about this in our last segment with Al Bubba Gross, 0 interceptions so far this season. 0. The Wildcats' opponents have picked off 7, and Arizona does not have a single interception. Ephesians Prysock this week was asked if it's hard to get interceptions.
No, it's not. So we just keep flying to the ball. It's gonna come at some point. I got to get on the jugs. I can't lie. I dropped 2 picks this season, but I'm gonna get right though.
Got to get on the jugs machine.
That's
exactly.
right.
And when you become a great team, you're already on the jug.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
That's right. Absolutely.
You're already. That's just a part. When you're a defensive back, if you know you don't get a lot of quarterback throws to you, go get on the jug, catch you about 40, 50 balls, just to make sure that your hands are ready for some of these passes. Because people don't realize the quarterbacks throw that ball pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And if you're not used to catching it, it can slip right through your hands. But as he said, to get to championship championship level of a team is when your guys are doing that extra work already.
You can get, I'm telling you, you can develop good hands if you catch enough balls. I'm telling you, because I did with my son who had bricks, okay? And I used to work out with him, and we do 100 balls every workout. And he became just catching the balls. Kobe would, catch anything. And 100 balls every workout. That was 4 days a week. We're doing 400 balls. And then on the fifth day, he would go out and catch some more balls. And he did that for all during the summer, and he couldn't drop a ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you can develop that, and you got to do it by repetition. Yeah. Everything is. And you know how that is, Kelvin, shooting that jumper, shooting the jumper, doing all your stuff. Repetition.
And with that repetition, you want to change the angles of your hands. Sometimes it's a high point. Sometimes it's into the body. Sometimes it's away. So you have to work all those different things to get ready. If you don't get ready, then you won't be able to catch those. So,
he got all that because I was throwing them.
Throw the ball. Otherwise, you're saying the ball was all over the place.
Absolutely.
This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We are out here at Soul Sports, and don't forget also that today's show is brought to you by Dave and Buster's, the best place to eat, drink, and play, as well as to watch tonight's game between your Arizona Wildcats and the Washington State Cougars.
And I wanted to say one more thing about that. People also have to realize this. To get interceptions most of the time, because I did play DB. I did play DB at the University of Arizona. To get the interception, you have to take a risk.
Yep.
You have to take a risk. And sometimes with that risk, as a DB, you're going to get beat.
Yep.
And sometimes you're going to make that one big play to change the whole game. An interception just changes the game. So you also have to take that risk and be willing to be snatched out. But that's the guys that make big plays are the ones who are willing to take those type of risks.
Yeah, they're not afraid to fail.
Not afraid of the moment.
And they got a short memory.
The defensive coordinator, Johnny Nansen, is a former player at Washington State, and he was asked this week about his memories of being a Cougar.
So, 20 years ago? No, I'm kidding. It was fun. Learned a lot. Had some great coaches. Met a lot of great friends. Met my wife there, so that's what I remember the most. Library. Exactly right. Nah, she was a student athlete too. So, yeah. She worked with she was a trainer, so she was a soccer player. Yeah.
That's the right answer. I met my wife at the library.
Exactly.
All right, the Washington State Cougars have an outstanding quarterback by the name of Cam Ward. We've talked a little bit about him this season, but let's hear from this young man who transferred, as we mentioned earlier in the show, from Incarnate Word and is in his second season up in Pullman playing for this program. Joined for a few minutes by Cameron Ward, the quarterback for the Washington State Cougars. And Cameron, Pullman, it's a long way from Texas. Mm-hmm. So what was the biggest adjustment for you going to somewhat of a remote location?
It was probably that. It was probably the location. Everyone can say the weather, but I get used to the cold. So, it wasn't that big of a change weather-wise. It takes about 2 months to get used to the cold. But I'll probably say the biggest thing is where Pullman is located. Because I'm from a small town, but we have just Houston's on 40 minutes away from me. I have other little small towns, with stuff to do around it. But Pullman's just in the middle of nowhere. The closest city is Spokane. That's an hour and a half away. So, just being stuck in that little place, but it's a good little journey there. It's a good little experience there. You get to meet some people that you never thought you'd meet. I made some unbelievable relationships there, so I'm excited there.
When you make the jump from FCS to FBS, what are some of the biggest transitions that you have to make to be successful at the higher level?
You have to win from the pocket. I'll probably say that's the biggest thing. And also you just have to, I like to say be needy, not greedy. Take what the defense gives you. Don't try to always make the big play. Just stick to the script and just move the chains.
Win from the pocket. I like the way you put that, because there's so much of an instances of guys, when things break down, just to kind of escape and try to run. So how do you begin to try to be that quarterback that that maybe takes the extra 2 progressions to try to find something in the passing game?
I think it all just comes down with reps. Comes down looking at the film. That's something that we did in spring ball. I watch more film than I ever have in spring ball and this summer. So, just looking at yourself play by play, the plays from last year, the plays from, you made, even at your old school, the difference that, you've changed as a person and quarterback. So, just taking what the defense gives you, not try to do too much or too little, and just stick to the game plan.
What do you remember about coming down to Tucson and winning last year?
It was a great experience there. It's good to go to the I think it was the October and November game. It was good to go get some sun. It wasn't cold down here. That's what I do like. Arizona got to come to the cold this year though, so we'll see how they handle it. But I know it's going to be an exciting game this year. Though.
Was it big for you guys because obviously Jaden had been there the year before? Was there the emphasis on that week for you guys that hey, let's go out and get our ex guy and get that W?
Not really. I mean, we try to approach every game the same. Jaden, he's a great quarterback for Arizona. He's a great quarterback at Washington State. We approach every game the same. Don't get too high or too low. Whether we're playing, Caleb Williams, or we're playing Shador, or we're playing Jaden Delores. So just roll the punches and just go play by play.
You talk about all these great quarterbacks that are in this league this year. Is there a guy you like to watch? Like, say your game is over and you go home, you watch a game, and are you watching Caleb? Are you watching Penix? I mean, who are you watching?
I watched a lot of Oregon games last year, so I did see Bo Nix a lot. I seen Mike Penix a couple times, but I like to watch a lot of the NFL quarterbacks too. I watched Pat as he got into the league. I was a big Aaron Rodgers guy, how he wins from the pocket. Also, when he does scramble, the plays that he makes. Even someone that I feel like is very underrated in the league is Trevor Lawrence. His deep ball throws are amazing. He knows how to move throughout the pocket like Tom Brady did at that stage. It's trying to, just watch little pieces of players, try to see how they got to that point in their career, how they, do this certain thing in their game, just try to implement it myself.
I'm from Cleveland. Are you a Deshaun Watson guy?
I am Deshaun Watson guy, yes, sir. He was in Houston, probably the best quarterback in the league at that time.
Cam, hey, continued success and best of luck.
Sir, thank you for having me.
All right, Cam Ward is running a little bit more this year. He actually leads the team in carries with 48, but not turning it over. 14 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions, but he has been sacked 11 times this year, so that's an opportunity for the Wildcats today. That was part of what the struggles that they had last Saturday against UCLA.
Yeah, and the pass protection was not, the pocket was collapsing, and they took away his lanes. I watched a little bit of that UCLA game. They made sure that they boxed him in. So it was almost like a collapse of the pocket from the outside because the guys in front stayed in their lanes, didn't give them any lanes to run. So I thought that was really good. I think that we should be picking that up on the film. We got those 2 big guys of Norton and Neofoto. How you say is it? Neofoto? Yeah. CO. And getting him, those guys to stay in their lanes, man. Don't be going rushing outside, giving them an open lane. I think we can contain them, because our guys on the edge are getting there now.
And Johnny said last week they had spies on Caleb Williams. They just didn't take good angles to get to him when he ran.
Yeah, that was. I think it was Helen Keller on there. A couple of those, man, because they were not very good. They didn't see, they didn't hear, they didn't see that very well. I'm telling you,
the eyes weren't in the right place.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
The one thing I will say about Cam Ward is that you heard it right there. A lot of guys think about the NFL so much, right, that in that game he should have scrambled. Now, they did a good job, as you said, having guys in the right lanes, but there were opportunities where he could have scrambled and made some things happen, but already in his mind he's thinking about the NFL. If you heard him, he's thinking about being the stand in the pocket, make the plays in the pocket, and we know college football is kind of not like that, right? right? You got to make some plays, and the quarterback has to run. So it's good to see that they're doing called runs because they're making sure that he mix it up a little bit and that the defenses can't just get a bead on that they're just passing.
All right, that's our defensive breakdown of the Wazoo Cougars.
And that's a look at the Wildcats' defensive scouting report for today's game.
To throw, here comes the rush again. He's sacked by Jacob Anu.
This is Arizona football on Wildcats Radio 1290. Let's take a look at the Right Way Rundown and see what's coming up on our pregame show, brought to you by Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Doing things the right way.
All right, we'll check out your scoreboard coming up. Unfortunate loss for the Colorado Buffaloes last night. We'll talk a little bit about that particular ball game. We'll hear from Jonas Savianaya, the captain's corner today, as well as give you your pest of the game, keys to the game, and your best bets. All of that is straight ahead. We are here till 2:30. It is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We are at Soul Sports here, the sports book at Casino del Sol. Come on out. They've got the Festa Buffet going on today. That is from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Breakfast and dinner, $25. And how about Moby's? Check out Moby's. Get the burger of the month. That's the Smash Burger. Smash Angus patty, caramelized onions, American cheese, burger sauce, and fries. The Smash Burger is just $14 out at Moby's here at Casino del Sol. So be sure you check and get that into your stomach on game day. With Kelvin Ifan, I'm David Kelly, and we will come back and have more for you after this timeout on Wildcats Radio 1290.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by
Blue Whale Car Wash, Caruso's Italian Restaurant, Cool Willie's Air and Plumbing, The Diamond Store, Goldberg and Osborne, Goodfellas AC,
Humane Society of Southern Arizona,
Lexus of Tucson, Nova Home Loans, Recon Auto Detail, Right Now Power Sports Tucson, and the Tucson Police Department.
Think of waking up
Management pregame show. I'm David Kelly along with Glenn Howe and Kelvin Efon. Let's take a look at today's college football scoreboard.
Here is today's Pac-12 scoreboard, brought to you by Mesquite Valley Growers. Mesquite Valley Growers. Real growers, real experience, real nursery. On Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, guys, let's start with what happened last night in Boulder.
Oh. Woo!
Colorado
I watched that
led
game.
29-0 at the half and lost 46-43 in double overtime in Boulder at Folsom Field.
That game, I watched that game. I thought it was over. I went to the high school game.
Yeah.
You saw me at the high school game, and then I saw it, and I was looking. I even showed it to Glenn Parker, and I was like, "Man, this game's over. This game's over, man. 29-0." And then I started driving home, and I turned it on, and it was like, "Wow, that dude, that one wide receiver, where was he at against us?"
Alec Ailman, man, I don't remember him playing.
Where was he at in the first half? He didn't catch a catch in the first half.
He's like
not one.
And he had like 17 grabs?
But what that tell you is, though, you got to give credit to that coaching staff at Stanford for making adjustments and coming out the second half. And what they said to themselves was, we're going to go to our best guys. I don't care how many people you put on them. We're going to squeeze the ball in there and see if he can make a play. And the kid made plays all night.
He ran 3 outs. I mean, 3 ends. He just 3 ends, 3 in a row. And he still didn't. I was like,
no
you just jumped at?
And no adjustment by the defense.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was telling DK that. I was like, man, with Dion being such a great corner, you would think, I know he let his defensive coordinators take care of their business. Head coaches don't really get in the business like that. But at the same time, I just thought that let's double that guy.
Yeah.
This one guy is killing us. Let's double him and let's take that away.
Yeah, or at least have a linebacker coming out on it.
But what I want to say is that I think this is the best thing that could happen to Colorado.
Yeah.
Because they've been living on that edge in a few different games, right? And so sometimes you think you're better than what you are. And you need a game like this to happen in the second. Of course, they should have won that game. Shadur don't make mistakes like the mistake that he made in that game, right? And then the penalties. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean,
penalties
wow.
everywhere.
I mean, so many personal fouls and everything like that. And I always tell guys, when you get up like that, you have to really watch your character. You have to really watch it because the refs are watching, trying to keep the game clean. And I think a little bit of that had worked against those guys because they were hyper. They were celebrating a lot. They got a lot of penalties.
17 penalties.
That's a good point because
yards.
You're absolutely right, Kel. That's a great point because when the game is almost like a blowout, they really look.
Yeah.
And they want to keep it under control.
Because you want to fight.
Exactly.
And with what happened at Colorado State.
Yeah.
You have to really look, right? Because you don't want guys confronting each other on the field and different things like that, and it gets a little chippy. That's why that hit happened, And the guy, coming over because it's chippy. You're talking before the games and all the energy that's surrounding the Colorado team right now, all the love that they're getting. You get a little jealousy from some of the other teams, but I really think this is the best thing that could have happened to them because, again, you should have won the game versus one of the lower-level teams in the conference, but you ended up losing. I think they're going to end up winning a couple more games because of that loss, actually.
Well, and Alec Amanour, 13 catches for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Kelvin,
record.
They never really made an adjustment in the second half on that.
I mean, no adjustment. I mean, I think right there, the whole offense and defensive staff, when they went into that locker room, guys were celebrating. Guys were – we usually say we go in the locker room 0-0, 0-0.
Right,
Like, man, forget the score. Don't look at the score because anybody that looks at 29-0 is going to let their guard down.
Yeah.
They're going to let their guard down. And too many guys let their guards down for a Colorado team that doesn't have that much depth in the first place. They don't have that much depth. And it reared itself when you had to play this kid Hunter 1,000 plays after coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't question any coaches what they're doing, but I will say is I didn't understand that, being that the kid just came back from being off 3 weeks. There was no way he could be in game shape to be able to perform the way he did. Now, with that being said, I think he had 12 catches.
13 for 140 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, man. I mean,
that's lunch pail. That's lunch pail, man.
I didn't see the total snap count on that. But
he shouldn't have been in. He shouldn't have been in some of those defensive plays. Now the other guy, the other corner, did get beat a couple times, and so coach said, "Hey, we're gonna go with our best guy." But at the same time, you have to You have to see and understand. Now, again, I will say this. I love Dion because you know what he did? He gave his guy a shot. He gave his guy a shot to see if he had it, and he had it on the offensive side of the ball, and he didn't have it on the defensive side of the ball, and it cost Coach Prime this time.
All right, let's talk about some of the games that are happening today in the Pac-12. Obviously, with one game last night, not as many games today. One game is actually 2 games are in progress right now. You've got number 16 Utah hosting California. That's a 7-7 ball game right now. The Bears come in at 1-2. Utah is 1-1 and 4-1 overall on the season. Washington has drawn first blood. Michael Penix Jr. has thrown a touchdown pass at home against number 8 Oregon. So the Huskies, 7th ranked in the country, with about 10.5 to go in the first quarter, leads 7-0 over the Oregon Ducks. The other game outside of the Arizona-Washington State game is actually a non-conference game tonight. That'll be in South Bend, Indiana, as 10th-ranked USC at 6-0 goes on to take their other traditional rival, number 21 Notre Dame. That'll be a 4:30 start tonight, and the Irish enter that game as a 3-point favorite over the Trojans. So that'll be an interesting game to watch, as it always is when those two teams get together.
I think USC is going to get stomped on that game.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
And watch what I'm finna say. Watch this, Glenn.
Yeah.
I don't, because Caleb Williams steps up for games like this.
Yeah.
You know, as a player, you look, the sad thing is when you're a school like USC with all this talent, like I know, they go into most of these games knowing that they're going to win, and they play like that. They don't play like a team that's concentrated and focused. But I think against a team like a Notre Dame, when they play against the Washingtons and schools like that, you get a different type of concentration out of the number 1 guy, Caleb. If Caleb plays like the game really matters to him, which this Notre Dame game is going to be a big game for him, I just think that they could upset them at home.
Notre Dame losing that game to Louisville and coming into this game, that's not a good thing for SC.
All right, we do have tickets we're giving away today. We'll have couple pairs of seats to the next home game, which is still 2 weeks away. Now it is October the 28th when the Wildcats come home to take on the Oregon State Beavers. So if you need tickets to that game, head on out to Soul Sports. We're going to give those out in about a half an hour or so. So we're about right around the bottom of the hour here. We will, before we get out of here at 2:30, we'll have a couple pairs of tickets that we'll give away. Just sign up here with our great crew. We've got Garrett here with us today. We got Sean and Riley as well are here as well today, and so come on out and sign up and have a chance to go see the Wildcats when they come home to take on the Beavers. 2 straight home games coming up after the bye week. The Wildcats will take on Oregon State, and then it'll be homecoming against the UCLA Bruins. That is your scoreboard to the moment.
That's today's Pac-12 scoreboard, brought to you by Mesquite Valley Growers. Mesquite Valley Growers. Real growers, real experience, real nursery. Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290. Time to hear from our captain.
It's time for our pregame speech.
The Captain's Corner is brought to you by Ram Plumbing.
When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double.
And now, here is the captain, Kelvin Ifan.
All right, in place of Kelvin this week, we are going to have a chance to hear from actually one of our captains on this year's team, and that is going to be the offensive lineman for the Arizona Wildcats. He's played a little bit of tackle. He's played a little bit of guard this season, and he's done a very good job of playing both of those. Jonas Savianaya is having a really strong start to his second season here in Tucson with the Arizona Wildcats, and he's grading highly. You know, they have the thing called Pro Football Focus, which hands out grades on both the collegiate and the NFL levels, and Jonas Savianaya is grading pretty nicely through what's known as PFF. Brennan Carroll was asked about Jonas Savianaya's grades through PFF this week.
I don't know what PFF is, but Jonah's really, really good. He's a fantastic athlete, fantastic person, great leader. He was in it the whole time on the sidelines, just locked in. I can't really say enough nice things about the kid. He's done everything we've ever asked. He's been a great leader. You know, in the third or fourth quarter, whenever we made the switch, put him at guard, you know, I kind of asked him, it's like, you know, it was decision, Leif was kind of wearing down. I said, you know, can Joe block these guys to tackle? And he said, yeah, put me at guard. I'll block 90. So, all right. Can't ask anything more for the kid, you know, to be selfless. He's fantastic.
I would agree with that. Jonah is indeed fantastic. That's the kind of kid. He's very soft-spoken. You're going to hear from him here coming up. But, I mean, really developing into one of the leaders on that line and flexible to be able to play both inside and outside.
I just love that he's I'll block 90. That's Big Bubba.
Yeah.
He says, I'll block him. Just get me in there and I'll block him. And that tells me right there that he's competitive. He loves the challenge, and he's the guy that's going to step up, raise his hand, and tell he's going to be going. We're going to war. He's going to raise his hand, and that's the kind of guy you want as a teammate.
And I'll say selfless. When you have a guy that's, you know, every offensive lineman want to be a left tackle, so they can make trillions of dollars, right?
Absolutely.
But to be a player that's not worried about that, he's like, hey, put me at guard wherever you need me, whatever is going to be more effective to give us a chance to win the game. And whenever you have guys like that, that's a great building block. That's a guy that's going to be around here another year or two. Just so important to have those type of people, because what happens is other players that are put in positions where they need to go to another position or something. You have one of your star players, one of your guys are going to be an NFL guy.
He did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be like, hey, if he's willing to do it, why you guys? You know, and I talk about the Keith Smith and OJ thing. It was like that. We had Dennis Northcutt and Jeremy McDaniel. We had Mike Lucky and Brandon Manamanauna. You had Trung and me. Everybody had the shirt. So we didn't want to hear anything about you guys feeling, you know, anything. And they didn't. I mean, they fell right in because everybody else does that on the football team.
Both of Arizona's guards graded out above 93% in that game against USC. Jordan Morgan and Jonas Savianaya. Yeah.
I mean, Jordan's been grading that high all the time. I mean, the whole season. So we got, you know, this is the thing, is that we've had 3 weeks in a row of great defensive players that those guys had to go against, and they've done pretty well. So we've got the line to be able to do the things that we want to do. It's not like we're limited because of our line. So we got that. So we really got to take advantage of that, and that's why I'm going to say one of my keys is run the ball. You know, let's let them guys. Let's get them lathered up. These boys can do it.
And I'll say this. I mean, and that's with one of their guys, a true freshman that was supposed to be a starter, that's kind of been in and out the lineup.
Yeah,
right. So imagine if they had their unit.
Raymond Polito.
Yes, sir. Imagine if they had their unit, how good they would be right now.
Raymond Polito is out again today, so it'll be and we did find out also that Leif Magnuson has begun struggling. He had an ankle injury, I think, early in the season, and it apparently cropped up again in the USC game. So Joe Bourgeon was back in there at the right tackle position, and that's when they moved Jonah Savianaya back down into the right guard spot. So the Wildcats are dealing with some injuries on that offensive line to both Leif Magnuson and Raymond Polito. That's forcing some of those backups to have to get into the game. Speaking of Jonah Savianaya, as we mentioned in our Captain's Corner this week, we'll hear from him. And Kelvin, tell us who Captain's Corner is brought to you by.
Brought to you by Rams Plumbing. When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double.
Yeah, let's hear from Jonah Savianaya, who was asked this week about moving back and forth between guard and tackle.
It's been great. Beginning of this year, I told BC, wherever you want me to play, if it's guard or right tackle, I'm always here for it. And then the last 2 games against Mississippi State and two days ago, he wanted me to go back inside, and then, I'm good.
So what's it been like for you to go back inside? Because last year, that's your main position.
Yeah.
This year, you're starting at right tackle. What's it been like going back to that?
It just feels a little tighter than outside, but feel way confident.
And then Pro Football Focus has given you a lot of good grades for pass blocking. What do you contribute, or what do you think is working for you pass blocking wise this year?
Well, it comes down I try not to focus too much on my grades, just focus on myself and how can I make my team better in the O-line group. But the main thing is perfecting my tools as my punching skills, and placing my hands on the opponent.
And then Jonah, with Noah as the quarterback the last couple of weeks, what stands out to you just about the way he was able to handle all of that?
He was pretty confident back there. The moment he stepped on the field, it's he didn't let the moment get in his head or get too big. Just went out there and played ball. That's all it is.
How was he just in terms of his poise and his cadence and just how he was able to communicate with you guys out there on the field?
He's pretty loud out there. We had 2 away games, and I could hear him clearly. So that's how I know he was ready to go.
Joe, you've kind of slid back and forth between guard and tackle, working with both Leif Magnuson and Joe Bourgeon. What has been your impression of both of those players and the positions they play?
They're both solid dudes. Every time I play tackle, and then Joe comes in for right tackle, and I go back in, I make sure to let him know what this edge rusher is doing. Same as Leif. When I go back outside and Leif comes back in, I make sure I let him know, this guy's doing this and this. So I'm try my best to help both of them.
You guys ran a lot out of that bunch set. What did you like about that formation, the crack toss, and how that worked for you?
It gets me in space. I love pulling and then getting bodies in space.
Joe, are there different tendencies between Jaden and Noah that in terms of how you approach your blocking scheme or something like that?
No, not at all. How I play when Jaden's back there is just how I play when Noah's back there. It doesn't matter who's back there. I'm going to protect him and all I got.
I mean, in terms of, because Jaden maybe rolls out of the pocket more, you have to be prepared to do that as opposed to, Noah stays in the pocket a little bit more?
Well, they both got legs, so every time they roll out, I make sure I got to have my outside hand out and then not get a holding penalty every time they roll out.
But Jonah, what do you make of Washington State? How much film have you watched on that?
I watched a little bit of individuals first. I watched a little bit of Brennan Jackson. He's a returnee from last year. Kind of went against him when I was inside guard. Now that I'm playing tackle, I really got to tune in to his pass rush moves.
All right, that is Jonah Savianaya. I'm going to read a tweet that just came in. Rusty Sammy, a good friend of the program, checks in and says, Bucky Irving of Oregon already has 7 carries in this game. He's on pace for 30. He'd like to see that with our running back, with our running back, with one running back today versus many.
DJ, spread it out.
With the way that DJ, all you guys know how I feel about DJ, but with your starter out, I think you have to give both of these guys an opportunity. Now, I will say Jonah
15 to
Coleman.
15, yeah.
Jonah Coleman has been balling, but having both of those guys right now, the way that they play, both guys are physical. They don't hurt you.
Yeah.
They don't hurt you. They play very similar to each other.
Going back to Jonah, love the way he talks about technique, hand placement, all that stuff. So coaches are really emphasizing the technique, and that's why they're getting better. That's exactly why they're getting better.
So there is some development on the offensive line.
There is. There is
development is happening on the offensive line. Okay.
There is being development.
I see that.
I see it.
Because we have a few draft picks.
Yeah. So now we're seeing the development of them. So that means that we're running the ball better, and that's what we're doing, and we're seeing that. And I like the way he says when you're getting in space, because he's one of the guys, when he does get in space, he's got a toothpick in his mouth.
Yeah.
Because he's one.
You got to hit somebody. You can get in space, but you got to hit somebody in
He's
space.
hitting somebody all the time.
Yeah.
I've watched him. There's some guys that haven't, but they're going to be. He gets out there, and being in space, he's got to hit somebody. And I was talking to Glenn Parker last night. I was telling him about, when you pull, he goes, every time I pull, he said, you got to put you got to be on somebody.
You can't, somebody.
There's nobody, there's no air.
Yeah,
there's no air. If you have to hit, you got to hit the water boy on the side, hit him.
And I'll say this, I really love what Jonah said right there when he said, no matter what quarterback behind me, I block the same.
Yeah,
I block the same. And because he's not falling into that there, right? He's saying, look, it doesn't matter. I have a job that I have to perform. I'm one of 11, right? I have to do my job. I can't really worry about who's exactly at quarterback, right? Because the second screen guy came in because the guy was injured. So I got to play and give everything I have for him. But I just love that you can't bait him, and that was real right there. What he said was, no matter who's back there, either one of those guys, I trust both of them to lead us to victory. So, that's
the
important
guy you want to
leaders.
walk down the alley with, man. He's going to be there. He ain't going to run.
Well, our thanks to Jonah Savianaya for joining us this week in the Captain's Corner.
And that's your Captain's Corner with Kelvin Efon. Brought to you by Ram Plumbing. When your plumbing is in trouble, call Ram on the double.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by
Blue Whale Car Wash, Caruso's Italian Restaurant, Cool Willie's Air and Plumbing, The Diamond Store, Goldberg and Osborne, Goodfellas AC,
Humane Society of Southern Arizona,
Lexus of Tucson, Nova Home Loans, Recon Auto Detail, Right Now Power Sports Tucson.
What new tickets coming out of this?
Department.
As Arizona's leading personal injury law.
1290.
Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, 1 hour left to go here out at Soul Sports. It's the Wildcats and the Washington State Cougars tonight, and I am David Kelly along with the letter winners, Kelvin Ifan and Glenn Howe. It is time to give away some tickets to the Wildcats' next home game at Arizona Stadium. That'll be 2 weeks from today against the Oregon State Beavers. So we're not going to make you have to answer anything today. But we will just give you. We've got 2 pairs of tickets to give out today. So our first winner is Alfonso Esquivel. Is Alfonso here? Alfonso Esquivel. Alfonso going once. Alfonso going twice. All right, Alfonso.
Hopefully that game will be sold out.
Not here. Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, I think that
Teddy
game
Bruschi,
should.
Teddy Bruschi this week was not happy that Jet has to beg people to come out to the stadium. Did you hear those comments?
No, I didn't hear
those.
Yeah.
Let's go. We've got, is it Izzy Marquez? Isaiah Marquez? Mr. Marquez. How are you, sir? Congratulations, Mr. Marquez. You have 2 tickets to see the Wildcats take on the Oregon State Beavers. Yeah, you can. Yeah, plug him up. We'll talk to him real quick here and find out a little bit about Mr. Marquez, who is from Tucson, Arizona. He is 77 years old and
77 young.
Man, young.
You don't look. I thought you were.
Am I pronouncing your first name right? How do you pronounce it? Desi. Oh, Desi. Oh, Izzy without the D. Okay.
Izzy.
No, I say Desi without the D. Ezzy. Okay. Ezzy Marquez.
What you on? Come on.
Yeah,
We're going to talk to you.
No. Come on.
Don't be a radio.
Say a few words for
man.
us, Ezzy. Say a few words for us. The people want to know who you are. They want to know who you are and what you're all about.
I'm not feeling real good because of the Dodgers.
Oh man, well we're feeling great about that because we're Diamondbacks people here. Yeah, you got to pull that up so people can hear you. That's how they hear you right there. Pull the mic up in front of your mouth there. There you go.
There you go.
Are you a Wildcat fan though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basketball mostly.
Basketball mostly. Who's your favorite player on the basketball team right now?
Well, I go back to Fred Snowden.
Oh yeah.
All right, the Kitty Corps.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, those were the good old days back
they
in.
were.
All right. So, have you been to a game this season yet? Football?
No.
So this will be your first game.
Right.
All right. Do you watch the games on TV?
Once in a while.
Okay. Who do you think should start at quarterback today?
I don't know.
You have no idea. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 names, so just pick one. Jaden Delore or Noah Fafita?
No clue.
No, just pick a name. Just pick a name.
Say it again.
Jaden or Noah?
Noah.
Okay. All right. There you go. You're going to fit in with the rest of the fan base real good there, Izzy. Hey, thanks. Congratulations and enjoy the game. All right. That is Izzy Marquez. He's our first winner today.
Got to show up to the game, Izzy.
We've got another set of tickets we're going to give away here.
Thank you.
Kevin Pantera. Is Kevin here? Oh, I saw somebody get up in front. I don't know if that's Kevin, though. Kevin Pantera going once. Is that Kevin?
Is it?
Kevin.
All right,
Kevin. All right, Kevin, put on that headset right there so we can talk to you. All right. Kevin Pantera is 65 years old from Tucson. Pull that mic down in front of your mouth. Up a little bit higher. A little bit higher there.
Okay.
We'll train you up, Kevin. Kevin, so you're from Tucson. You're a Wildcat fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Graduated U of A.
What year?
86.
All right. It's 1 year after I did.
You graduated.
You were there when I played.
Hunley and the crew.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. All right. Did you go to games when you were a student?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you remember?
I remember the SMU game.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
When SMU was in the Southwest Conference.
Right.
And they came into Tucson and they
Number
had
3 in
like
the
2
country.
or 3 runners that had God knows how many yards.
Was Eric Dickerson on those teams?
Southwest. They played the Southwest.
No.
Dickerson was on it. We killed them, 36-6.
And they didn't get past midfield.
Yeah, they did.
Oh man,
They got
That's
nothing.
the game. That's the game. Joe Joe Toffenmeyer made his name because he was killing Jerry Ball.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, they were drilling
Jerry
people.
Ball. I remember coming in the huddle. He came back to the huddle and he said, "I am kicking Jerry Ball's butt." He said that. He came back to the huddle. He was just fired up, man. And we were running the ball. Sweet D was running like a wild man that game.
When we say Sweet
that was
D,
a great game.
Yeah, that was a great game.
When we say Sweet D, that's David Adams.
Dave Adams.
All right.
You remember David Adams?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's your favorite player on this year's team? You have a favorite on this year's team?
Well, I like this new quarterback. He's been
Noah?
playing pretty good.
All right. You think he should start today?
I don't know. We'll see. I like Coleman. I like Coleman.
Jordan Coleman.
Coleman can get it done.
Physical
runner. Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
So were you a Dirtbags guy or a Green Dolphin?
Ooh.
Dolphin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
I was an older guy in college, so
I didn't even go to U of A, and I have a Green Dolphin story.
Do you really? Green Dolphin was awesome. You know, Dooley's. Did you go to Dooley's?
Oh, there was like the wrong way bar.
Yeah. That was the wrong way. Absolutely. Actually, God lived there.
Yeah. Really cool, though.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, who are you going to take to the game?
My wife, probably. Yeah.
Okay, what's her name?
Loretta.
All right, how long you and Loretta been married?
32 years.
All right.
That's
what I'm talking
Yep.
about.
That's great.
32 years.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin,
got to root for the Cats.
There
man.
you go.
Got to.
Have a great time.
All right. Thanks for the tickets,
28th.
guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell us anybody you bet on today? You got any winners going?
I need, like, Maryland.
Who's Maryland playing today?
Who they playing?
Illinois, they're the worst.
Oh, yeah. They should.
go.
What's the spread? What's the spread on
We'll
that?
see. Too many.
Too many.
Kevin, thanks
All right,
so
Kevin.
much.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Congratulations to Kevin Panthera and Izzy Marquez. They're headed to the Arizona Wildcats and the Oregon State game. That'll be on October the 28th. And, of course, we still don't have a time on that game yet. With a bye week coming up next week, we'll find that out probably in about 10 days or so what the time for that next home game will be. All right, we are out here at Soul Sports. Come on out. There's some great stuff going on out here in terms of food. Has either one of you ever ate at PY Steakhouse here?
Yes. Yes.
I've not eaten at PY.
Yeah.
But if you go on Wednesday night, it's prime rib night at PY. 10-ounce cut, slow roasted, prime ribeye, herb salt, rosemary au jus, horseradish cream, loaded mashed potatoes, and prickly pear glazed seasonal vegetables. $35 per person on prime rib night. Plus, they've got $9 wine specials. So come on out and have some dinner at PY. We were out here Sunday night. We saw Yachtly Crew.
Oh, that was a great concert.
It was a great time. We had a really good time out here on Sunday night.
My voice was sore because I was singing the whole time. It was good. It's like, dang.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Thanks to our folks for entering and having a chance to win. Okay, we want to hear from the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats. I mentioned that we've been kind of talking all week about who's going to start at quarterback for the Arizona Wildcats, and the fan base has been very pro Noah Fafita. And so I asked Jed Fish this week how he deals with the quarterback controversy and what he would tell his fan base about how this situation will be handled.
Jed, how do you quiet the very loud sector of your fan base that wants Noah Fafita to be your starting quarterback moving forward?
Yeah, well, we haven't made a decision in this program once about what, we decide what we think is best for the program from everything that we know and do and see, and we don't just listen to others in that decision. When it comes down to deciding who the starting quarterback is, when we played USC last year and lost 45-37, and Jaden threw 3 touchdown passes, ran for another, and had 387 yards passing, everybody was clamoring that he should have been the player of the week. I think that everybody has short-term memories. Everybody likes to live in the now, live in the present. Noah has done a fantastic job, and having 2 quarterbacks is better than none. And I think we're in a very good place at the quarterback position as we move forward. I would also say that, I've lived through a lot of these. I lived through situations where your starting quarterback is playing. He earned his position. Backup quarterback goes in. Backup quarterback plays well. Starting quarterback goes back in. Starting quarterback plays even better than he's ever played. I've seen it the other way. I've seen it in every way, shape, or form over 25 years and 20 of them coaching quarterbacks. So I look forward to both of those guys getting better every week, and we'll figure out as we go how that process works.
And then what goes into that decision to decide whether to go for 2 to try to win the game in the first overtime?
I would say that what goes into it is, do you love your 2-point play right off the bat? We called a 2-point play earlier in the game because it was 28-26. So let's say we called our number 1 2-point play in the game. So now it's 28-all. Now we're going to our second best 2-point play. We held Caleb to 1 yard rushing in the fourth quarter, 43 yards passing. Our defense had no problem stopping their offense. To decide to put it in my hands as the play caller and the quarterback's hands with let's call it, with a 2-point play that I knew we were going to have to go to next, that it was didn't seem that we didn't need to do that at that moment in time. As the offensive coordinator, I would have done it. I would have pushed for it. But as the head coach, I got to stand in there and talk to the defense and say, you guys have played better than any team has played this team in 2 years. You guys held the Heisman Trophy winner to 1 yard rushing and 40 yards passing in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to take it into my own hands and either win or lose a game on one play. And I didn't feel that was the right thing to do.
Logic. Let's take these in reverse order. Logical there that
great explanation. That was a well thought out explanation, I have to say. But I don't know if that was going on right at that moment. But after you have a week to think about it, I think that was a great explanation. I didn't feel. I agree with him. I didn't feel that we needed to go for 2. There's a lot of people that said, let's go for 2. I talked to some guys, former players, all last week. They said, we should have went for 2. I don't know. I said the same thing. I think our D was pretty good. Yeah. Our D was doing pretty good. I mean, like I said last week, I said 21 and a half of our players were better than their players.
Yeah.
Okay, because the other half was Caleb Williams was a 0.5 better than Noah, and that's how they won the game. But man for man, we were just as good. So I think I would have put it all on our defense, and I said, Dad, let them win the defense wins championships.
Well, and the thing I'll say, and then I'll let Kelvin have on this. The thing I'll say is that I think I trust. I don't trust our offense in the red zone right now.
Yeah.
I think our offense is better when it has space.
Yeah.
And I think when you don't trust, and we saw it at the end of the game, that you can get 3 to 5 yards when you need to get 3 to 5 yards to get into the end zone, the defensive choice is probably the better play there.
Yeah, you're limited when you get closer to the goal line.
And watch what I'm finna say. If Delora was in the game, do you think he would have went for it?
Oh, well, absolutely. I think he absolutely would have gone for it. And I'll go back to a play that I tweeted about in the third quarter. In the third quarter, they had a 3rd and 9. It was a 3rd and, I think, 9 from the 8, so they could still get the first down. And Noah had a mismatch with Keon Burnett and Sierra Wright that he didn't take. And he decided to run the ball, tuck it and run, got 2 yards. You have to kick a field goal there again. And this goes back to what I've been saying all season. You're not getting touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah.
Because, again, Noah's not the guy that's going to take that chance.
Right.
it was a clear play where he could have put the ball just where Keon only Keon could catch it.
Yeah.
There was no interception chance there unless he underthrows it to a shorter Sierra right.
Now, the only thing I'll say about that, DK, is that he practiced with him every day. And that's my boy.
Right.
That's Chester Burnett's son.
Yeah.
But he practiced with him every day. If that was T-Mac, he would have threw that ball. If it was 2 or 3 guys on him, he would have threw that ball. But even though that they went to high school together, I don't think that trust is quite there yet for the young Burnett, and that's why he ran it instead of making that trot. Because I guarantee you, if that was Cowan or T-Mac, they would have went crazy if you didn't try to throw that ball over the top of the shoulder to the back of the end zone and try to make that toe line catch right there. So I think that play, and I think a lot of the decisions in that was that you do have your backup quarterback in the game, and you don't want to put that on him to be in that situation because you never know. People probably be talking all different about this right now. You know, if he was in that situation and he threw that pick, because I think they would have ran the same play. I think they would have ran the same 2-point play with JDL. Their number 1 play, I think they would have ran it again because they trust him and they believe in the guy that he is. I really believe that they would have gave. But with a freshman at quarterback, you don't do that, and I respect it.
All right, let's get a break in here, and when we come back, we will have our right way. Well, actually, let's tell you what's coming up in this final hour right now.
Let's take a look at the Right Way Rundown and see what's coming up on our pregame show, brought to you by Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, doing things the right way.
All right, coming up next, we'll give you our pests of the game. Who on that Cougar roster could be someone that does dastardly things to the Wildcats today? Keys to the game as well as best bets. All of that is straight ahead. We will also hear more from head coach Jed Fish and a little bit more as well as we get you set for Arizona and Washington State. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. We're at Soul Sports at Casino del Sol, along with Kelvin Efon and Glenn Howe, David Kelly, and you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by
Broadway in Tucson, Dave & Buster's Tucson, Dorado Rock,
edge guys for their Cougar defense. They've been talking about those guys all year long about how they rush the passer, and I think that it's going to be a great challenge for our tackles, our left tackle and our right tackle, to be able to protect our quarterback. Is Brendan Jackson, and you got your other guy Ron Stone Jr.
Oh yeah,
these guys are coming. I'm telling you, they're 264, 264. And Stone is a 6'3", 245, kind of a lean guy, a little outside rush edge guy, guy that gets to the quarterback. I think those are the guys that I think are going to be a little bit past. If we can control those guys, if we want to get that PFF high, you really can get a great grade right here, because I think these are two NFL pass rushers right here.
And I'm going to go with Washington State's running back. They ran the ball very well against us last time. I think they're going to do a little bit more of that to try to keep Delora off the field. Whoever's starting that quarterback off the field. So I think the running back and the running game is going to be huge for him, just as it was down here in Tucson. I'm going with Nikhil Watson. Watson.
Yeah.
I just think 220-pound back, we have problems with those type of guys, physical runners. So I'm going to be looking for that guy.
Nakia Watson, not a bad choice. 46 carries, 153 yards this season. If you allow Washington State to get their running game going today, it is going to be a long afternoon for the Arizona Wildcats. Glenn, you mentioned Ron Stone Jr. He is the son of Ron Stone Sr., who played for the Dallas Cowboys back in the day. Let's hear from Ron Stone Jr., one of the leaders on this Wazoo defense. Joined for a few minutes by Ron Stone Jr., edge rusher for the Washington State Cougars. And what did beating Jaden Delora in Arizona mean for you guys in your defense last year?
Yeah, it was great. It's we always talked I always talked to Jay when he was here about what it'd be like if I actually got to hit him, things like that, because quarterbacks are untouchable at practice, and finally getting the opportunity to. It was great, especially with how electric their offense was at U of A last year. So to just be able to hold them and make them have a bad day offensively was a great day for the Cougs.
Now, obviously, you grew up in an NFL family. What was that experience like, kind of being the son of a dad that played in the league and was on a Super Bowl team?
Yeah, no, it was great. I got to learn tough coaching from a young age. He coached me for just about all my sports teams until college, and he wasn't going to sugarcoat anything. He always told me the truth about the matter and things like that. And then it just gave me a little bit more insight on what my college career was going to be like with those type of coaches. And he always gives me insight on what he sees nowadays with the O-lines and things like that.
Yeah, I know that obviously he was one of the guys that was involved in that lawsuit in 2014 against the league. Did he ever try to talk you out of playing because of all that he went through as a player?
Nah, at that point, especially during that age, for the longest time, all I wanted to do was play football to be more like him, and I don't think anything was softened that at that point. So, no. He's always embraced it and helped out and been exactly what I needed during my career.
So how has he tried to lead you to play this game as safely as possible?
Yeah, it's not only him, but the rules themselves, targeting rules, penalties, things like that. All new advanced technology within the sport. When you play the game the right way, you play it the safe way at the same time. Obviously there's going to be big hits like that, and that's part of the game. But not putting your neck and head in compromising positions and playing with technique is the safest way to do it.
Ron Stone Jr. joining us, edge rusher for the Washington State Cougars. Do you have a favorite cowboy uncle that you've gotten great advice from?
No, not too much. I get them all confused half the time, man. And I was so young when he played. I barely faint memories. I think I can maybe remember one game.
He doesn't take you to any of those reunions at all?
No, I don't even think he goes to those. It's always fun seeing some of his teammates the last year. I wasn't there, but 2 years ago, not sure 2 years ago, for his 50th birthday, my mom got a bunch of his old teammates and friends and things like that. So just seeing those photos, it's always fun to see that. And just a good time to see like how massive some of these people are.
What does it mean for you just to kind of be a leader on this team?
Yeah, I mean it's a super high honor and it's a privilege, you know, and you can't take it for granted. And I appreciate being in this situation, and hopefully I'm doing it the right way. You know, I'm glad I've earned the right to get in front of my team and say things and have them listen and respect what I have to say.
A bunch of great quarterbacks in this conference. Is there any one or two that really stand out to you that you've faced thus far of all these guys, from Bo Nix to Caleb Williams to Michael Penix Jr.?
Right. I mean, I think the right answer is Cam Ward. You know, I haven't gone against him in a full game, but just seeing what he's done in practice and things like that, and seeing what he can do to other teams, that's obviously the right answer. You know, there's obviously some other ones out there. You know, just a talented conference. You know, especially top to bottom with the quarterback playing the other positions. And as a defensive player, that's something you look forward to know you're going to be going against some of the best.
Hey, Ron, continued success and best of luck.
Right on. Go Cougs. Thank you.
Ron Stone, obviously his dad played 14 seasons in the National Football League with the Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants for a number of years. 49ers, ended his career in Oakland with the Raiders. Mentioned that he was one of a number of NFL players who sued the league back in the mid-last decade over being given drugs to curb injuries and help injuries. Richard Dent was also involved on that lawsuit. Jim McMahon was involved on that lawsuit, along with Ron Green, Kevin Van Horn, some big names that were involved. And that's got to be tough when you are a father who went through that, and now your son wants to follow in your footsteps and play this game. And how you manage that as a dad has to be difficult.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult. I gotta say one thing about these kids that are doing these interviews are just great. Yeah, great interviews, man. Yeah. Just great. I mean, they're not like I'm sorry when we were. I mean, they're so good. All the kids that we've had on this show interview, they're just good kids. You can't not like those kids, but saying what you're saying about, you know, it would be tough for as a dad to try to tell your kid, you know, you want him to play the game that he has passion for. All you can do is give him advice of how to make the right tackle, how do you do, you know, to keep yourself safe, and you just got to just go with that, man, and just, you know, wish for the best.
Yeah, no, man, I got a 10-year-old. I have a 10-year-old, and he's all excited about playing football, and I've been trying to push him toward basketball, push him toward baseball, you know, track. But at the end of the day, the kid really wants to play, and you just got to teach him and show him all the things that we learned when we had a chance to play. So he has a little bit of advantage there. But, yeah, man, it is tough because you know about the injuries. I deal with injuries from, you know, when I played and just the pains and the, you know, how cold it get and then your bones start feeling it and, you know, all that stuff like that. So you do worry about your kids a little bit. But, you know, at the end of the day, though, if you're tough enough, you know, you can make it happen.
All right, Ron Stone, he has this season 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, and 2 forced fumbles. That's the guy Glenn Howe believes will be the pest for the Arizona Wildcats.
That's our Pest of the Game, brought to you by University Termite and Pest Control. BePestFree.com.
All right, guys.
UB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. This season, Jed Fish will lead the Wildcats into battle, and the only place to hear the game, Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, guys. Interesting week. Really interesting 2 weeks it has been. The Wildcats have lost a pair of players, local players, who have committed or who had committed to the program. And Jed Fish was asked about decommitments this week at his Thursday press conference.
You know, I think college football is very unique right now. I think I heard Coach Stoops said it pretty well the other day. But I think what it comes down to is you have to continue to recruit daily. You can't ever not think that recruiting is over. I don't think you can ever not think that a player football is different than any other sport. You know, you talk to these other head coaches of other sports, And they all say verbal commitments means all the other head coaches stop recruiting them. In football, verbal commitments means all the other head coaches start recruiting them harder. It's a very different game. For some reason, commitments in football don't mean nearly the same as commitments in college basketball or college baseball or college soccer, which is a bad thing. It's a bad message. It's a bad message to, I believe, for really the game and for their lives. What type of commitments you make, if commitments don't matter, might as well not commit. And then decide on signing day where you're going to go to school. I believe that we have a situation with decommitments that go on across the country now. It's happening everywhere. Guys are transferring and guys are decommitting. So until we get this more under control as a college football, really infrastructure, we're going to have this, and this is not going to end. So we just keep recruiting. We recruit the guys that want to be here. We recruit the players that want to be a part of this program. We don't stop recruiting somebody if they do decommit. We don't stop recruiting people that do commit. And when we get to signing day, we'll find out who's actually on the team.
Yes, and that is what I said this week. As like I'm done talking about commitments. If I'll wait until kids sign the paper, which is what it was in the old days.
And it's only social media that makes it so huge with all the pictures and all the stuff. And
I'll blame the media because we're the ones that started blowing up this whole thing on the commitment side.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It just goes back to your basic stuff of when your dad tells you, when you make a commitment, son, you make a commitment.
Yeah.
And like my dad would tell me when Larry Smith came, he goes, son, you're going to University of Arizona, right? Because you made that commitment, you're going there. You ain't going nowhere else. You could tell Cal, tell Joe Cap, tell Washington State, tell Michigan State, you ain't going. You're going to Arizona. That's what you just told Mr. Smith there. Came in our living room. You got to be able to honor your commitment.
And the only problem I have with this is, we both coach a lot of kids.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches ask the kids to leave.
Yep.
A lot of coaches ask the kid to leave in spring. Dion is most notable. And it's funny that everybody act like that was a big deal when they've been doing it for years. Way back when I played, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
So my issue with this is this. Coaches go wherever they want to go whenever they get ready, right? Most of the coaches that recruit you are the assistant coaches. Glenn, how long is their contract? 1 year.
Yeah.
All the assistant coaches is 1 year. So they could be gone in a blinking of an eye before you even get there. So the guy that recruited me is gone. And I'm supposed to want to stay at this school. I mean, I know people think that guys come to the school for the school, and they probably should.
Yeah.
Right? But most guys come because of the coach.
Yeah.
That's what he said about basketball. Don't bring up basketball because basketball is a total different animal because the kids go for the coach. They came for Lute Olson.
My first day when I got there in January as a JC transfer, Coach Rowan comes up to me, Glenn, welcome to University of Arizona. I'm going to the Indianapolis Colts. He recruited me. He's the one who recruited me. He was gone.
I had 3 different running back coaches.
I just he was gone.
I had 3 different running back coaches. 3 different running back coaches and I think 2 offensive coordinators.
And he was my offensive line coach. And then Mike Berry left. He was my offensive line. I got Bob Palcic, and then got a different tight end. When I got moved to tight end, I got 2 different tight end coaches.
Now,
so we have to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's a weird deal. But I still think that when you make a commitment, and these 1-year deals. Back then, I think we had 3 years.
Okay.
We had 3 years. We had whatever you
when I was
had.
in school,
whatever you
had
had
to re-sign that scholarship every year.
Whatever you had, you get it every whatever eligibility you had. That's what you got. I remember I had the 2 years, the 3 years, 3 to play 2. So.
And secondly, most people, I'm hearing a couple things about the dad. The dad don't pick the school. The kid is the one that got to go to the school. Yeah. And I hate when people try to act like they're in people's house. Yeah. I mean, I guarantee you they're not telling you their plans and their thoughts and everything like that because you tell about your family. No, you tell people, no. Everybody keep those secrets in house. So I just think that it's a little. If I'm a recruit, here we go. If I'm a recruit and I'm watching this, I'm scratching Arizona off my thing. because I'm watching the fan base get aggravated and go after a kid that was a 5-star that tried to do the right thing. And you know, I ain't gonna say try to do the right thing, because I think you need to do what's best for you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I love
that's
Arizona.
what you do. That's what
I
you
love
do. Yeah.
Arizona. I played for Arizona football, but I believe that the kid has to do what's best for him, and if he believes that going to another school is it, we should clap, because guess what? Bijan Robinson's still from Tucson.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't come to the U of A, Lathan Rossom is still from Tucson, and this kid will be too. He could be a kid that go out and make us proud of him. And yes, we would love for some of these kids to stay, but we have to get our program to a point where they're winning.
Yeah.
Where a kid want to come, because why would I'm keep it real? Why would he want to come here right now?
Yeah.
Why would he want to come right now with 2 sophomores on the ends? Right? Who is it? Ward? And
See, and it's interesting you said
Davis.
that.
And Davis.
Because when those 2 kids started playing well, was when I said that might be an issue.
That would be an issue with me. I mean, if I'm a 5-star, 5-star, you have some wiggle room. You have some negotiations that you can kind of put in there. I want to make sure that I get a chance to be seen, right? I want to. When I came to the football team from the basketball team, I wanted to know that I was going to actually get a shot to play. If not, I was transferring to TCU. I was going to go to Baylor. I was going to go somewhere else where I could play before my career is over, right? So I just think that
when Deuce and those guys started playing well, you know, that Deuce Davis and
that matters. You don't think that matters?
No, that does matter.
When I have
that
a kid,
matter.
When I have a kid that's getting recruited, the first thing I do is to go look at the depth chart.
Yeah.
The first thing I do is go look at the depth. I'm not sending a kid to a school to go be behind 2 or 3 freshmen and sophomores who the coaches already like.
Yeah.
So if people say you're running from competition, are we really running from competition, or are you going to go where it's favorable for you?
All right. Well, we got to get to a break, but the one thing I'm going to say about this, and I said if I was a father of a student athlete and that was my kid, I would say, and you had a press conference to commit to a school, I would say, okay, we're going to call every single one of those writers, every single one of those TV stations. We're going to have another press conference, and you're going to sit in front of those cameras and tell them why you changed your mind. That's what I would say if I was the dad. All right.
And I'll say this. He didn't get in front of the cameras, but he said it on –
to me, okay, that's a whole other story. We'll get into that part another time, because we got to get to a break here. We got 2 things we got to get to. All right, we are at Meridian Wealth
show on that.
Right, exactly. We're at the Meridian. We can talk about that on the post-game show if we want to. Meridian Wealth Management Game Day pregame show. I'm David Kelly, Kelvin Ifan, Glenn Howell. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Bear down, Wildcats fans. This is the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
This is the home of the Arizona Wildcats. Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, guys, they're not going to make it easy on us like they have the last two games where they gave us 3 touchdown spreads. This spread today is only 7.5 for the Washington State Cougars on the road. I said last week that I thought this was a game that kind of scares me, coming off games against 2 top 10 teams. Can you get up again? I think that's the next test that this team has to face, is can they continue to get up week to week to week to week to week to play these ranked teams. What do you got, Glenn? Arizona plus 7.5 today.
I got to go with Arizona. Got to go with Arizona on that. And I think I'm going to bet Arizona to win this game.
Ooh, he's taking Arizona to win.
Yep.
Yeah, I personally can't take that bet. I gotta, I think Cam. You got to remember those guys lost last week, the first loss of the season. I think Cam is going to really step up and really have something to prove. I think Delora is on that team. That's more motivation factor for those guys. They do not want to lose to Delora. So I can't take that bet.
Yeah, no, I can't either. This is the game that worries me. This is the game that worries me. So I'm taking Washington State and laying the 7.5 on that. All right.
Mike Wiley still out?
Yes.
Yeah. They said that they wanted to try to maybe get him up for 15 to 20 plays today.
Yeah.
But so he's ahead of where Raymond Polito is.
Yeah.
But still maybe not at that point. All right. The over/under is 58. 58 is the over/under. The under has been the play, and it would have been the play last week had they not gone to overtime. So I'm going to go under again.
Yeah, I'm under.
Under.
Everybody's going under with that because, again, like I said, it's pretty much been under the entire season. It did go over last week. I think it was 65.5, 69.5, and they got it to 84 with the overtime. All right, those are your best bets.
Those are today's best bets. They are brought to you by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
All right, guys, final thoughts before we get out of here. Arizona and Washington State.
Let's start quick. Tonight. We got to start quick. We did it last week. We got to do it again. We got to start quick and then maintain, and let's make some really good play calling.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I think that I'm happy that the guys get to play football now and not have all the quarterback controversy and all the other stuff. Now you got to go put it on the field. So I think these guys get a chance to just go and play the game right now. So that's what I'm excited to seeing these guys go out there and play the game and make the plays that's needed to win it.
Let's see if there's real quick. We'll check and see if there's anything new on Jaden Delora. It does not appear anything new has popped up yet. We're obviously into warm-ups up in Pullman right now, so we'll kind of wait and see whether or not Jaden or Noah Fafita gets the start. All right, that's going to go ahead.
And if you're running the ball, run the ball.
Right?
Just keep running it. Don't go away with it. You don't have to go out there and throw some other passes or anything. Let's just get it and then run that clock.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our coverage here from Soul Sports at Casino del Sol. Once again, we are out here every Saturday in which the Wildcats are on the road. So come on out. We'll be out here on November the 11th when Arizona hits the road again to take on the Colorado Buffaloes in Boulder. All right. We will be back with you after the game tonight, and that'll be the Meridian Wealth Management post-game show. So join us for that. For J.W. Madden, for our fine crew here on site, and for Kelvin Efon and Glenn Howe, I'm David Kelly. Enjoy the game, Arizona and Washington State, with kickoff at 4 o'clock.
This hour of the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show is brought to you in part by
Broadway in Tucson, Dave and Buster's Tucson, Dorado Rock, First Choice Pools, The Good Feet Store, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, O'Reilly Chevrolet, Graham Plumbing, Restaurant Supply Store, Right Way Heating, Cooling and Plumbing, Rocking K.